In today's interconnected world, Indian culture has transcended borders, leaving a lasting impact on many countries. From the vibrant celebrations of festivals like Diwali and Holi to the widespread popularity of Bollywood, Indian cuisine, and spiritual practices like yoga, India's rich traditions are being embraced across the globe. The growing influence of Indian culture is a testament to its timeless appeal and the global reach of its diverse elements. In this video, we'll explore the top 15 countries where Indian culture is most popular in 2025. These nations have not only welcomed the Indian diaspora but have also integrated key aspects of India's art, music, food, and spirituality into their own social fabric. Whether it's through the rise of Indian-inspired businesses, cultural festivals, or widespread interest in traditional Indian practices, these countries are deeply influenced by India's cultural heritage. Let's dive into these fascinating destinations and discover how Indian culture is shaping the world in 2025. 15. Japan. Japan has increasingly embraced Indian culture, particularly in areas like yoga, Ayurveda, and spirituality. The country's growing interest in Bollywood films and Indian food is a testament to this cultural exchange. India-Japan ties are strong in trade, and there's a growing number of Japanese learning about Indian classical music and dance. The Gita and other Indian philosophical texts are gaining popularity among the Japanese, particularly in urban areas like Tokyo and Osaka, where spirituality is a growing interest. 14. Bangladesh. India's cultural influence on Bangladesh is vast, primarily due to shared history, religion, and language. Bollywood films have an enormous following, and Indian music is popular among Bangladeshis. Major festivals such as Durga Puja are celebrated across the country, reflecting the cultural bonds between the two nations. While Hinduism is practiced by a minority, Indian religious practices still have a significant impact. The shared history and Bengali language spoken in both India and Bangladesh further unite the two cultures. 13. Indonesia. Indonesia has long-standing cultural ties with India, influenced by historical trade routes and the spread of Hinduism and Buddhism. The island of Bali remains a cultural epicenter, where Hindu rituals and festivals are central to daily life. Indian cuisine, particularly curries, naan, and samosas, are popular throughout the country. Bollywood films are widely watched, and there is a growing interest in Indian classical music, dance, and yoga. The cultural exchange continues to thrive, with a significant Indonesian interest in Indian heritage and traditions. 12. Nepal. Nepal shares a deep cultural and religious connection with India, primarily due to their shared Hindu traditions. Nepal's Hindu festivals like Dashain, similar to Dussehra, and Tihar, comparable to Diwali, are celebrated with the same fervor as in India. Bollywood films are widely watched, and Indian classical music and dance forms are practiced. The spiritual bond between India and Nepal is reflected in the large number of Indian temples, including those dedicated to Lord Shiva, spread throughout Nepal. Additionally, the influence of Indian philosophy, particularly yoga and Ayurveda, is becoming increasingly popular in Nepalese society. 11. Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago has a deep connection with India, largely due to the arrival of Indian indentured laborers in the 19th century. Today, Indian culture is celebrated through major festivals like Diwali and Holi, which are national holidays. Indian food, such as roti and doubles, is a central part of the nation's culinary scene. The influence of chutney music and Bollywood films is also notable, with Indian artists and filmmakers gaining recognition in the Caribbean. The fusion of African, Indian, and Creole traditions has shaped the vibrant cultural identity of Trinidad and Tobago, making Indian culture an integral part of the national fabric. 10. Fiji. Fiji has a significant Indian population, primarily descendants of indentured laborers brought from India in the 19th century. Over the years, the Indo-Fijian community has contributed to the cultural fabric of the nation, with Indian traditions such as Hinduism, Sikhism, and Islam being practiced openly. Indian food is widely consumed in Fiji, with dishes like roti, dal, and curries being everyday staples. The celebration of Diwali and Holi are major cultural events, with the entire population participating in the festivities. Bollywood movies are a regular feature in Fiji's entertainment scene, and Indian dance and music are popular in local celebrations. The Indo-Fijian community continues to play an integral role in Fiji's cultural and social landscape. 9. Mauritius. The island nation of Mauritius has one of the largest Indian diasporas in the world, with over 60% of the population of Indian descent, mainly of Tamil and Bhojpuri origins. Indian cultural practices and traditions are a core part of everyday life in Mauritius. Diwali is a major public holiday, and Holi is widely celebrated. Indian foods such as dal puri, biryani, and alauda are staples in Mauritian cuisine. Many Mauritians follow Hinduism, and temples dedicated to Hindu gods dot the island, showcasing Indian religious and cultural practices. Bollywood is very popular in Mauritius, and Indian music and dance are incorporated into local festivals and weddings. The fusion of Indian and Creole cultures has given rise to a unique Mauritian identity, making Indian culture deeply intertwined with the country's heritage. 8. South Africa. In South Africa, Indian culture is prevalent, particularly in Durban, which has the largest population of Indians outside of India. The Indian community in South Africa traces its roots back to the early 19th century when Indians were brought in as indentured laborers to work in sugar plantations. Today, their cultural influence is seen in the widespread popularity of Indian cuisine, including dishes like biryani and bunny chow. Bollywood movies are a hit, and Indian festivals like Diwali and Eid are celebrated with fervor across the country. Indian classical music and dance, as well as the rise of chutney music, have made a mark in South Africa's entertainment scene. The Indian diaspora continues to contribute to South Africa's rich cultural diversity, making Indian culture an integral part of the nation's identity. 7. Malaysia. Malaysia has a significant Indian population, particularly of Tamil descent, which has influenced the country's cultural and religious landscape. Indian festivals such as Deepavali, celebrated as a public holiday, and Thaipusam, a unique Hindu festival, are national events in Malaysia, with grand celebrations taking place in cities like Kuala Lumpur and Penang. The influence of Indian cuisine is seen in popular dishes such as roti canai, nasi lemak, and thosai, which have become part of the local food culture. Many Malaysian businesses cater to the growing demand for Indian products, from traditional clothing to spices. The Indian presence has also enriched Malaysian arts and entertainment, with Indian dance forms and Bollywood movies gaining a substantial following. 6. Singapore. Singapore has deep ties to India, with a rich history of Indian migration dating back centuries. The Indian influence is especially apparent in Little India, a district in Singapore that showcases Indian culture through its temples, festivals, and markets. Tamil is one of Singapore's official languages, and many Singaporeans of Indian descent practice Hinduism or Islam, reflecting the significant cultural heritage shared with India. Indian festivals like Deepavali and Thaipusam are celebrated by the entire population, not just Indian nationals. Indian food is extremely popular in Singapore, with local dishes like roti prata, murtabak, and biryani becoming part of the Singaporean food scene. The cultural exchange is evident in the growing interest in Bollywood films, Indian classical dance, and music, which continue to play an important role in Singapore's cultural landscape. 5. Australia. Indian culture has been flourishing in Australia, particularly in multicultural cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. The growing Indian population in Australia has led to a significant rise in the popularity of Indian food, with curry houses and Indian grocery stores opening across the country. Major festivals such as Diwali, Holi, and Navratri are increasingly celebrated not only by the Indian community but also by Australians from all backgrounds. Yoga has also gained immense popularity in Australia, with numerous Australians practicing it in wellness centres and at home. The love for cricket, which has strong Indian influence, further enhances cultural ties between the two nations. Additionally, Bollywood and Indian television series have grown in popularity, with Australian broadcasters airing shows and films from India. 4. United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates, UAE, has one of the largest Indian populations outside of India, with Indians making up about 30% of the population. This strong community presence has facilitated the growth of Indian cultural activities in the UAE, from food to festivals. Bollywood films are screened widely, and annual events like Diwali, Holi, and Onam are celebrated on a grand scale. Indian restaurants are ubiquitous, serving everything from North Indian curries to South Indian dosas. Additionally, the UAE government has embraced Indian cultural events, with exhibitions and performances that showcase the country's rich artistic traditions. Cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi are home to large Indian-run businesses and shopping malls selling Indian clothing and goods. The UAE's Indian diaspora also contributes significantly to its economy and has made Bollywood stars like Shah Rukh Khan household names in the region. 3. Canada. In Canada, Indian culture is ever present, particularly in cities with significant Indian populations like Toronto, Vancouver, and Brampton. These cities are home to thriving communities where Bollywood music and movies are part of everyday life. Indian food, particularly butter chicken and samosas, is widely available and enjoyed by people from all ethnic backgrounds. Major festivals such as Diwali, Holi, and Navratri are celebrated by both Indian and non-Indian Canadians. The Government of Canada also actively promotes Indian culture through programs that highlight traditional Indian dance forms like Kathak and Bharatanatyam, and Indian classical music. India-Canada relations in education, trade, and technology have also strengthened the cultural ties between the two countries. Moreover, the rise of Indian-origin political figures like Jagmeet Singh, Canada's first Sikh leader, has added another layer to the nation's deep Indian cultural influence. 2. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has a long history of cultural exchange with India, dating back to the colonial era. A large part of the UK's population has Indian roots, particularly in cities like London, Birmingham, and Leicester, where vibrant Indian communities thrive. Bollywood has a massive following in the UK, with theatres often screening the latest films on the same day as their release in India. Indian cuisine, particularly curry, has been so ingrained into British culture that it's considered the national dish of the UK. Indian festivals like Diwali and Eid are celebrated widely across the country, with some events even being recognized as public holidays. The UK also has numerous Indian cultural institutions, such as the Neasden Temple and the Bhartiya Vidya Bhavan, dedicated to preserving Indian traditions, classical music, dance, and literature. 1. United States. The United States has one of the largest and most diverse Indian populations globally, contributing significantly to the spread of Indian culture. Indian immigrants, along with a strong Indian diaspora, have created a cultural landscape where Bollywood movies are widely adored, and Indian cuisine is a staple in many cities. Festivals like Diwali, Holi, and Navratri are celebrated in major cities such as New York, San Francisco, and Houston, often drawing significant attention and participation from non-Indians as well. Additionally, the rise of Indian-influenced fashion, music, dance, like Bhangra, and even yoga has made Indian culture a prominent part of American daily life. Institutions such as yoga centers, and the popularity of Indian-inspired wellness practices like Ayurveda, further cement the cultural exchange. Moreover, famous Indian actors like Priyanka Chopra and Mindy Kaling have become household names, influencing mainstream entertainment.